Welcome, it's Domain Dave again with another wine review for cheapwinefinder.com. This one is a interesting wine. There's a story to tell. It's a $7.99 Trader Joe's wine, and it's a bargain. So there you go. If you want to know about the wine, if that's all you want to know, podcast is over. But there's a story to tell. So I'll tell it in a second here while I tell you the name of the wine. And that's another thing. I was never sure what the name of it is. I think it is called Petite Sirah versus Petit Verdot, Lodi, California, 2021, but it could be rough and ready, and it also could be two heavy hitters. It's the first wine I ever had that I wasn't ever sure what the name was. Now, if you've heard Petit Verdot and Petite Sirah being blended together, well, Michael and David out of Lodi do the Freakshow Petite. That's about twice the price. It's $7.99. There's a little bit more, and also out of Lodi, and it's really an interesting, cool wine. And this is kind of like Trader Joe's take on it. A custom wine company out of Paso Robles made it for them, but with Lodi grapes. So why put a Petite Sirah and Petit Verdot together? And why is it versus? I mean, a blend should be working together, not fighting each other, so the name's kind of dumb, and long, and I couldn't figure out what's what. So yeah, the packaging's weird, and the weird part about it is the cork has all this stuff written on it. For a $7.99 wine, they put a lot into the packaging, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But why would you put Petit Verdot and Petite Sirah together other than the name? And well, because they both go together, and let me tell you a little bit about both of the grapes. We'll start with Petite Sirah. Petite Sirah is the one that's got the E, and the Petit Verdot has no E in Petite, or at least the last letter in Petite. Petite Sirah, back in the 1800s, France had all sorts of phylloxera. There was everything going wrong in the vineyards, and the Syrah grapes in the southern France were having all sorts of problems. So a botanist named Durif blended Syrah grape with, I think, a grape called Pleurissin, which is you don't see anymore. It's somewhere, but you're not going to see it. Because Pleurissin, and I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I've only seen it written. I've never heard anybody say it. It was a very hardy, healthy grape, and the Syrah grapes were having problems. And about the time he actually got the two grafted together and then created another grape altogether, the problem the vineyard for Syrah was up, and no one wanted to use his grapes. And it does have a little bit smaller berries than the grape does, or than the Syrah does. But somehow it got to Australia and California, and in California it's a secret weapon. It's in red blends everywhere, even in expensive Napa wines. You'll see Petite Sirah. It's almost always, if a Zinfandel is not 100% Zinfandel, you'll find some Petite Sirah in there. I'm going to take a quick sip of this one because I've been talking for a few minutes. I need a sip of wine. Petit Verdot is one of the 5 approved grapes in Bordeaux. Bordeaux? I don't know what, it rhymes, but I think that's all. And one of the weird things about it is that whenever you see a blend where the Petit Verdot was included, because Bordeaux grapes are Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, it's usually like under 5%. It's like 2 or 3% of the blend is that. And one of the reasons is that it doesn't get ripe every single year. It takes so long to get ripe that the other grapes are all picked, and this stuff's still sitting on the vine. So all these Bordeaux estates are trying to make a house blend and have something they can reproduce year in year out, even though it is vintage. Vintages do change things. Can only really trust Petit Verdot for a couple of percentage. Again, in California, it has no problem getting ripe. I don't think California's actually figured out what to do with it yet, because I don't see it that often. Sometimes in blends, it's a very intense wine. It's got floral nose, and it's got tannins, and the flavors are really distinct. Which puts us together. Well, why not put Petit Verdot and Petite Sirah together? Because they're both tiny, got tiny little berries. And that's what they did. And does it work? Yeah, because Petite Sirah is kind of like a red berry wine, and this is like a dark berry wine. And the Petite Sirah spicy. It kind of goes well with Zinfandel. And this is dark and intense, and it has a violet nose, and just a dark wine with really kind of different characteristics, especially when it's ripe. But doesn't ever get ripe in Bordeaux, so you don't really know what it can do. But here it does. Here it kind of it's an interesting wine because it adds. I mean, you know what Petite Sirah does at this point because you've had enough blends and enough Zinfandels that you kind of get those flavors. But putting it with Petit Verdot is a whole different thing, and it's very distinct, very bold, kind of powerful flavors, and that's in a $7.99 wine. And it's got tannins. There's a little bit of pull of tannins. Good red wines should have tannins. That's just the way it is. I'll take another sip. So this is a $8 wine that is kind of bold and powerful, which, there was a time when you would never say that about an $8 wine, but this one is. And if you like Zinfandels, if you like kitchen sink red blends, a lot of flavor going on, this will do it for you. I mean, this has flavor. It's a cold weather wine. This would have felt different in 85 degree heat. This is more put a hoodie on, put a sweater on, kick back. This is where it hits its own, and I think it's a sipping wine because it's got such bold flavors and it's so kind of unique. I don't know what you'd necessarily compare it to. I mean, yeah, you could do burgers and burritos and pizza and stuff. I mean, that would all work because that's all fairly simple. If you like the taste of this and like the taste of that, it's going to work. But if you're trying to do a kind of an upscale pairing where you're trying to get sub flavors and stuff, this might give you a little bit a pause trying to figure all that out. But it's a good wine, and any $7.99 wine that makes you scratch your head when you're trying to pair with because it's good, it tastes great, and it's worth drinking, that's not bad. And if you like this one, you should try the Michael David Petite. It's about twice the price, but it's probably more refined and a more balanced wine. But both are really good. So that's it for me, Domain Dave from CheapWineFighter.com. This is the Petite Sirah versus Petit Verdot Lodi Red Blend 2021. And like us, we like your podcast. Push buttons until something happens. And we're talking to everybody in a couple days. So stay cool, stay warm, stay dry, stay wet. I'm not sure what's going on out there. And keep it cheap, and I'll be talking to you. Adios. Bye-bye.